right, navigating the online dating world can be a bit intimidating for singles, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic.
So we have an online dating coach here to help break it all down for us. Erica Etten is the founder and CEO of online dating consulting business, A Little Nudge, and she is joining us now live. We've been so excited to have you. Good to see you.
Thank you for having me.
All right, Erica, so here's our first question for you. If you have started dating online because of the pandemic, what are some tips to maybe spice up your profile, get some attention?
Well, I would actually give very similar tips now than I would not during a pandemic. So anything you put on there, just don't make it generic. So you see so many profiles that say, I love to laugh and have fun. I'm just as comfortable in whatever as I am in jeans and a t-shirt. You know, I like to laugh. I don't know. I mean, I hope not many people can say they don't like to laugh, but so the more interesting and unique, the better. I'd rather hear that you like to go bird watching, you read classics for fun, and you can tinker on the piano with one finger. That's more interesting. Also, keep it positive. Let's not talk about COVID every chance we get in the profile. People are looking for a respite, you know, in going on a dating site. They don't want to be kind of dragged down again, so try to keep that out of your profile.
That sounds like sound advice. So, but it is COVID. Are you supposed to ask someone you're going to meet to get a COVID test before you meet? How do you see them in person for the first time with a mask on and with social distancing? How do people navigate that?
Communication is so much more important now than it ever was before, and communication was already important before. So I would say if you're going to meet someone you've met online, discuss in advance. Are we going to be wearing a mask? How do you feel about hugging? I mean, that would have sounded like the strangest question 7 months ago, but I'll even ask my friends now, are we hugging? Ask if they're comfortable being within 6 feet from you. You know, if you sit on a park bench, you're closer than 6 feet. So I would just say communicate, communicate, communicate. And you always sort of have to defer to the person who's the most cautious. So if one person doesn't want to do something, you're not doing it.
All right, Erica, I'm not sure if my wife's in this question or not. If you have gained weight during the past 8 months, should you update your photos? I mean, or is this kind of dishonest?
Well, exactly. If you picked up the COVID-15, no big deal. Not everyone likes working out on Zoom. So yes, just make sure your pictures are accurate. I always say people all they want to see is who's showing up on the date. Nothing more, nothing less. So make sure, especially that first picture, is accurate. And men too, if you've grown some sort of COVID Santa beard, that's great. You know, people are into that. But make sure you show it in the picture, because you can't say now bearded, because nobody can actually picture that.
Are you encouraging me to grow a Santa beard?
I mean, you said it, not me.
I'm married, so...
Listen, people are fans of the beard.
Okay,
I like a Santa beard. It looks great. All right, Erica, so this is a serious question. We are in this pandemic. Obviously, it keeps coming up. At what point should we start lowering our expectations? And if so, how low do we need to start going?
I feel that this is a personal question.
I was just the one who had to ask it.
I wouldn't lower your expectations. I mean, I'm not sure what expectations you mean, but I actually got an email from a client of mine asking me, well, I went out with this guy and he asked me on the date for a second date, but then he didn't follow up at all. Should I lower my expectations of him because of COVID? And I said, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. No. If somebody wants to see you again, they'll see you again, you know, come hell or pandemic. So I wouldn't lower expectations in terms of communication or anything. Yeah, you may not see somebody as often as you would before. That you can lower. But how you deserve to be treated and what you want out of a relationship, I would never ask someone to lower their expectations.
Amen,
just say
sister.
what you want.
All right, I like
Sounds
that
like that friend's issue was not COVID related, sadly. Okay, so if your first date is over Zoom, let's say, what's the proper etiquette there? Are you expected to dress well, to put on your makeup? How does that work?
Yeah, yes,
definitely.
The pants.
Might be proper etiquette.
Yes.
I mean, I prefer you put on pants, although I once had one show up with no shirt but a blazer. So anyway,
That's a party, right?
I would dress how you would for a first date, at least, from here up, because it looks just really sloppy. If someone shows up in a sweatshirt or unkempt hair or whatever, crumbs on their shirt, we notice. Everybody notices everything, even more so on Zoom. I mean, you notice my background. I got my dog trying to sneak into the frame, right? I keep moving it over a little. But everyone notices everything, and you still have to make a first impression. Just because it's over a screen, just because it's not 3D, doesn't mean you shouldn't try, because first impressions last. And so for Zoom, make sure you clean up your background, make sure your phone or your camera or whatever you're using is either straight on or a little bit up. If you're looking down, it's not flattering. Most people get the extra chins when they're looking down. Try to make sure you're wearing a top that flatters you, that you feel good in. And remember, lighting is actually really important too. So I'm actually making a no-no right now having a light behind me. I always recommend a light in front of you, which I also have. And some of those ring lights are really cheap on Amazon, and I recommend that all of my clients get one.
All right, Erica, before you go, I think this is an important question as we wrap up. How do you stay positive if you're not having any luck right now?
That's a harder one. It's hard to change your underlying attitude. I would say if you feel like you need a break from dating, take a break from dating, because the worst thing that could happen is you take that negativity and sort of project it onto your dates. I see that all the time. People are feeling down because of the pandemic and because of their jobs and because of this and that, and they're not making a good impression at all. So it's more than okay to take a break from dating, because when you are back in the dating game, I want to make sure that you go in with a positive attitude, thinking you are going to find someone, not that you're not, because then it'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Erica Etten from A Little Nudge. Erica, thank you so much. We appreciate you taking the time
Thank you
here on
so
NewsNation.
much.